In this video, I'm going to be sharing some tips with you so that you can make your law firm marketing more successful than it ever has been before. I'm Mike Perez. I'm the founder of iLawyermarketing. I've been doing law firm marketing for the past 15 plus years now, so quite a long time that I've been doing this. Our agency works with hundreds of firms across the country in some of the most competitive markets in the country. So we have a lot of experience competing and winning marketing campaigns in very tough markets. And I'm going to share some of the ways that we make that happen with you here today. So, the very first tip that I have for you, and it's something that a lot of firms overlook, and that is to improve your website conversion rate. What do I mean by website conversion rate? Well, if 100 people come to your website and 5 people contact your firm, then your conversion rate is 5%. Conversion rate is something that should be paid attention to, and a lot of people ignore. But you're spending all this marketing, all these marketing dollars on paid search or search engine optimization. And if you just improve the conversion rate of your website, you would increase the number of leads and ultimately the number of cases that you generate. So let's talk about some of the ways that you can make that happen. First, let me touch on a study that we performed this past year is how consumers choose lawyers online. It's something that we do every year. It's very important for us that we get inside the mind of consumers and how they go about hiring lawyers. So we do this study every year. This one involved over 1,000 participants. And one of the things that we asked them is when you are looking for a lawyer, if you were looking for a lawyer online, how many would you talk to before deciding on which one to hire? And 84% of those participating in the study said that they would contact 3 or more law firms online. So the idea that someone's just going to come to this search, they do a search for Denver personal injury lawyer and then just call people without doing research it's not likely. It's not usually the way that it works. Usually somebody does this search, they're going to click on multiple elements of the page. We'll talk about these a little bit more. These are LSAs, these are the local services ads, but that's one way to advertise your firm. There's also the local pack, which a lot of people want to appear in, and it's very hard to do, but it can be done. And then of course you want to rank at the top of Google so that people can find you. So this, for example, is our search. He ranks #1 for this. And if we click on that link, it takes us to his website. And we can see his website here that it looks different from the other firms that he's competing with. It stands out, it's modern, it's cutting edge. And that right there, having a modern cutting edge website plays a big part in conversion rate optimization. So you gotta have a website that impresses visitors enough to where they want to contact your firm. And I would compare a website to the car that you drive in terms of the way that a consumer perceives you. If you have a website that's outdated or it's not modern and cutting edge, then you're going to be missing out on visitors because they're going to think that maybe you're not successful enough to have a cutting modern edge website. That's direct feedback from our consumers. Multiple participants have said that the way your website looks plays a big part in how they perceive your firm. So I would compare this to somebody driving a Honda Civic to somebody driving a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Clearly, someone is going to think the Mercedes-Benz S-Class driver is more successful because of the car that they're driving. And the same holds true for your website. It's got to look good. It's got to impress visitors. And it's going to increase the number of conversions that you get. So it's something that can't be understated. Here's another firm that we designed for a firm out of New York City. Let me see. And this changes all the time, but if I do New York City personal injury lawyer, the rankings change all the time. Then they are appearing #1 for this search. They've kind of oscillated between 1, 2, and 3, but that's another search that we're able to get that client up to the top for. Let's just click on that website. And this is a site that there's a lot of competition in New York, clearly, but some of the things that we put in this site to help improve conversion rates, we have call to actions above the fold, call for free consultation. We can see that up top. We've got selling points above the fold. We've got another click for free consultation right here. We also have selling points high above the fold. Users can engage with it, increase their engagement rate with the site, and view different results that the firm has had. So clearly, the designs that we that we do, we put a lot of effort in making these things modern, beautiful, and cutting edge. This is for another firm, Panacea and Boyle, very successful firm here in California. And if we scroll to the site, we see that the site looks beautiful, it's modern, cutting edge, like I said, and it's going to give visitors that impression that this is a successful firm, which they are. So that is an important part of conversion rate optimization. This is another site that we just launched. For a firm out of, where are they, out of Connecticut? Yep, they're out of Connecticut. And we can see there's simple interactions. There's not a lot of, crazy elements on the page. We don't want to have too many things on the page that cause a website to take too long to load. A lot of websites, I think, fail in the fact that they put too many things on the page. It's too hard for a visitor to read all the content on the page, which they don't generally do anyways, and generally scroll through a website and look for different parts of the page that stand out. But one thing that I want to talk about is page speed experience. So not only does the design of a website matter, but another thing that's really crucial is the speed of your website. How fast does this thing load, both on desktop, and here we can see a very high score of 97 out of 100 on Google's Page Speed Insights. And if we look on mobile, it's got an 82. That's still very good. Probably could be even better than that. But the reason why I talk about mobile is because this is a very important part of making sure you have a successful site and a successful campaign. If you have a website that the mobile version takes a long time to load, well, you're going to be losing your visitors to your competitors. Here's a stat from Google. This is Google's data here. As page load time goes from 1 second to 10 seconds, the probability of a mobile site visitor bouncing increases 123%. That's huge. People don't have time to wait. They're in a rush these days. A modern web user isn't going to wait 10 seconds for something to load. If something's not loading quickly, they're gone. You've lost that visitor and you've wasted your marketing dollars. So this is something that is crucial. Here's another important statistic. As the number of elements, text, titles, images on a page goes from 400 to 6,000, the probability of a conversion drops 95%. So again, a huge thing where you don't want to have too much going on in your web page, because if it takes too long to load, if there's too many things that a site is trying to load up, then it's going to take your site longer to load, and it's going to chase your visitors away, and it's also going to confuse your visitors. So we've actually simplified a lot of our designs over the years, just because that's directly in feedback that we've gotten from consumers, that too much is too much, and it's gonna hurt your conversion rate. So those are important things that again cannot be understated. So make sure you make your mobile site a priority as we go forward, in time, because Google's going to continue making this an important part of their algorithm. If we change to the mobile version of the site, we see that the site still looks great. It's easy to scroll through. It's not too cluttered. A lot of sites fail in this regard because on the mobile version, everything is cluttered together and it's hard for someone to navigate through. So it's important that again, that it looks good. It's easy to navigate. So don't ignore the mobile version of your website, because it's going to be an important factor in terms of your conversion rate optimization. All right, so another very important tip for improving your leads and cases in 2021 is to focus on your reviews. Let's take a search here, Riverside Personal Injury Lawyer, and we'll see that reviews are more important now than they've ever before, because now we're seeing them in a couple different places. We're seeing them in the LSAs, the local services ads up top, where you can see the number of reviews in each of these. And they're also appearing in the local pack. So it is important that you have good reviews and positive reviews, because in the study that we conducted on how consumers choose lawyers, one of the questions we asked them is how many review stars, or what is the average rating a firm would need to have before you hired them. And we're talking about Yelp and Google. Those are the review sites that truly matter to the consumers. And 89% of people said that you would need to have 4 stars or better in order for them to consider hiring you. So even if you have 3.5 stars, No, you're losing out on business. So you better focus on improving your reviews and the overall ratings for your firm, because that's the only way you're going to convert. People these days, again, they're researching multiple firms online, and so they're going to be comparing you to competitors. And if people find your website, but then they go do research on your firm to see what your reviews are like, and you don't have 4 stars or more, then you've wasted a lot of your marketing dollars. So make sure this is a priority for you. We have a tool that we developed that analyzes reviews, and we use this to give advice to our clients on what to do and how to improve their reviews. One of the things that we're looking at is the authenticity of the reviews. So we are analyzing the text, and we're actually using machine learning and AI to evaluate the content on this. And certainly Google is doing this as well. So now there's a lot of issues with Google's local pack. There's a lot of spam that is getting through, but they will be making this a much better quality results in 2021, because they want to have local pack be a trusted source. And so too often we see sites that are spammy, that are using fake names, keywords in theirs, like Riverside Accident Lawyer, as the name of the business that they put so that they can rank in the local pack. And that does help you, but you will get turned in and you will eventually lose your ranking. So it's not worth it to try to game Google that way. And while at the same time, it's also not worth it to do fake reviews. You want to make sure that your reviews are authentic, that they're real. And you also want to make sure that you have reviews from people that not just that have left one review, but people that have left multiple reviews in the past. And that's harder to do because not everybody has a Google account. Not everybody's left a lot of reviews out there. In fact, most of your clients will be ones that don't have a lot of Google reviews. But if they do, those are the ones that are most important for you to make sure that you get reviews from, because getting a review from someone with one review where you're the only review they've ever left before, that's not a great indicator of trust. But if you have somebody that's left, say they've left 10 or more reviews in the past, or even 5 or more, then that's a good sign. That's a signal to Google that this is somebody that's more trusted. And so those trusted reviews are going to help you to rank better when it comes to people doing these searches. And I'm showing you this one, Hanson and Mori, because it appears 3 times here in a search result. So ideally, you would love to have this kind of scenario where somebody does this search and you appear here in the LSAs, you appear here in the local pack, and then you appear here near the top in the organic search results. So those kind of things are going to be important to have. And speaking of ranking high in the search results, let's start talking about SEO tips for 2021. When it comes to SEO, there are a lot of companies out there that will claim that they can get you to the top of the search results. And a lot of these companies will show you an occasional search, but the truth is that they don't have clients consistently getting great rankings, certainly in not any super competitive market. So I'll just take you through a couple searches that I'll quickly share with you. We've seen this one for Riverside, but let's take a more competitive city like Denver. Denver personal injury lawyer. Here our client is #1 organically. So that's awesome. They're #1. Here's a term, Chicago personal injury lawyer. Our client here, Clifford Law, is #2. Awesome. And they've kind of been oscillating between 1 and 2. But as you know, search engine algorithms are changing all the time. Let's take the search New York personal injury lawyer, probably one of the most competitive searches in the entire country, if not the most. And our client is #3. And I showed this to you literally yesterday. These guys were #1. They've been #1 for a while, but this is part of the reason why you need somebody who is doing search engine optimization on a regular basis, because search engine algorithms change all the time. And Google has come out and said that they change their algorithm over 3,000 times a year. So that is a lot of changes that they go through. There's algorithm updates happening all the time. And so, again, here's a site that yesterday was #1. Now it's #3. So now we're going to look at that and we're going to try to get that back ranking up at the top. Los Angeles car accident lawyer, super competitive search. Our client here, #2, again, one of those ones that they've been #1. And we're going to go back and optimize. So anybody that tells you or guarantees you a top ranking is lying, because it's impossible to do. There's no way to do that, especially because Google's changing their algorithm on such a frequent basis. So, but the smart SEOs, the great companies, they can get you up here for super competitive phrases like this. And when you do drop in rankings, they're working on getting you back up there to the top. So let's go in and start showing you how we make this happen. Of course, I'm not going to give you all our secret sauce, but I am going to give you some tips that are going to show you how and why we're able to do this. One of the most important fundamental aspects of this, if you want to rank well, is you have to have great content. It's the bottom line. Google these days, and they've always been like this, but they get better at this all the time. They're trying to satisfy the intent of the web searcher when they conduct a search. So depending on what your search phrase is, that'll be dependent on what Google shows. If you're doing a search for, how to shoot a basketball, you're probably going to see a bunch of videos here in the search results. Let's just do that real quick. So we see a video here up top. Let's see, we see multiple videos in here. So this is, and we're seeing images. So clearly the content that you put in has to match the intent of the searcher. So in this case, if you were trying to rank for how to shoot a basketball, well, you better include video, images, those kind of things in there. In our case, our search is, talcum powder lawyer. Google knows that the intent here is for someone to try to find a lawyer to help them, again, satisfy the intent of their search. So here, we're not seeing images, we're not seeing videos, we're seeing just pages of content. So the question is, in that content, what do you put in? The old school method of thinking is talcum powder lawyer is my search phrase, so let's put talcum powder lawyer, lawyers, attorneys, variations of this into my content so that I rank better. Well, that's very outdated. And in fact, that kind of activity these days will get you penalized. So you do not want to repeat your words over and over again. And these days, Google's more about showing authoritative content, showing content that is more comprehensive on the web page. So we have software for this. We've been working on this for a while. It's a big part of our success. It's proprietary, so we don't share this with anybody, and it's something that our clients get advantage of. But basically, I put in a keyword, and in this case, talcum powder lawyer, and this gives me all the terms that I should consider using in my content. So obviously, we want to talk about ovarian cancer and talc products and the Drug Administration. But there's also stuff that maybe you may not think to put in that you probably should be talking about, and that is the appeals courts, asbestos contamination, jury verdicts. Obviously, we want to talk about Johnson & Johnson baby powder, the American Cancer Society, Supreme Court, cosmetic products. So there's a lot of things that we want to talk about. And so our software tells us what keywords we need to put in. And so for you, you don't have the software, but you can at least look at what the other people that are appearing on the first page, what they're putting in their site, so that you can consider putting that in yours. Obviously, ours is going to be more analytical than being able to do this just by hand. Ours is using natural language processing and machine learning in order to help us create the keywords that we suggest that we use. So it's obviously a little more sophisticated than doing it by hand, but you can at least, if you don't have software like this, you can go in here and go see what other people are doing on their website, what they're putting on their web page, so you can get an idea of what you need to include in yours. So I won't get into the details of our software. That's for another video. But in this case, you do need to make sure that you are, again, satisfying the intent of the searcher. And if you see that the average number of words on a page here on the content that's ranking is 2,500 words and you have 500 words, but the average number of words on the page for these sites that are ranking is 2,500, well, you don't have a chance of ranking at a page of content that has 500 words. So make sure you're observing those kind of things and that you're doing that with your content as well. So that's important to do. the next thing that is crucial in order to rank high on the search engines in 2020 is that you build quality links, and that is links from authoritative sources, not junk links, which is what the majority of everybody does in the legal marketing industry. People build junk links, and that kind of stuff doesn't move the needle. If it's not a site that Google cares about, it's not going to be a site in most cases that impacts your ranking. So, and I will say this, links are a little bit overrated. So, whereas before Google was heavily reliant on links, Google is a lot more reliant on other areas of other signals that tell them how important your page of or where you should rank. Links are still a very important factor, don't get me wrong, but you don't need to have this giant number of links in order to rank. We have plenty of clients that rank really high in plenty of markets, and it's not just about the links, it's about quality of links and quality over quantity, and then again, having great content on your site so that you are satisfying the intent of the web searcher. So in this case, I'll just show you a couple examples. So here's a piece of content we created for a client. It got linked from newsweek.com. That's a pretty big deal. This is just the other day. And we can link to our client's website here to take a look at it. But Newsweek found out about this and then they wanted to run the story. So we created an interactive map of the deadliest vehicles in America, deadliest vehicles in every state. And we analyzed and crunched the numbers and came up with which vehicles were involved in the most fatal crashes in the US. So that's one way to do it, is to make content that is great, that is better than average, and that's worthy of being linked to. So here's another piece of content we created that is just looks at shopping cart injuries in children. We did this for a client, and we can see it's a little bit animated. It's something like this is a little bit more exciting than a typical page of content that's written. So something like this has a much greater likelihood of being linked to when you create content like this, content that's interactive. So here's another one we did, how technology can impact the divorce case. We scroll, it animates. There's a lot of content on here. And this was something that did pretty well. But as you can see, we're not just creating regular old content. And this kind of content is not easy to make. It's also not cheap. So it's not the kind of thing that you can just create all the time. But you should be creating and adding content to your website that's worthy of being linked to or shared about or talked about. So, it doesn't always have to be interactive. Here's a page we made on Legionnaire's disease, and obviously it looks great. And, there's not a bunch of interactions, but it does look really nice. And this is the kind of thing that, again, when we're reaching out to people, trying to get them to link to our site, there's a much greater likelihood of somebody linking to a page of content like this than just a bunch of written text. So the quality of your content doesn't just refer to the written word, but it also means how the whole page works. If there's graphics, there's images, there's videos, all that is content and all that matters. So this is important to do. Now we also can go a little bit more advanced. This is a study we did on the most dangerous elementary school zones in California. We did this for a client, Panacea and Boyle. They're a very successful personal injury law firm, and they ended up getting a bunch of great links out of this. They had even got multiple news outlets covering them. They even had a TV station come out to them to film at their office to interview them. And we just created an interactive map that looks at the most dangerous school zones in all of California. This was not a cheap asset to make. It's not easy. It took a lot of time. There's a lot of data involved. But again, SEO in 2021, it's not easy. It's not like the days of old where you can easily build links and quickly start ranking. You got to create exceptional content. And as a result, you can then get linked to by sites like CBS Local, or I think SF Weekly also did a run on this. So these are two good, very strong sites. Those kind of things are the kind of links that you get that actually move the needle when it comes to your SEO. So that is those are the fundamental concepts that you should be using and your marketing company should be doing for 2021 if you want to rank high on Google and if you want to generate more leads. All right, so let's talk about something incredibly important as we go here into 2021. If you want to increase the leads that you get, if you want to get more cases, then you better consider advertising with paid search. There's a lot of different options that you have for you, but one of the ones that I want to touch on right now is the LSAs. These are the local services ads that you see at the very top of the search results when you do a search for a lawyer. And this appears for not all searches, but a lot of them are common ones, especially for personal injury or family law or criminal defense, those kind of things. But we're starting to see these ads up top, and they actually get quite a bit of action when it comes to consumers and what they click on. We know this for two reasons. One, we have a number of clients that are running these ads and they're having great success with it at this point in time. It's still new, and I expect the cost to significantly increase as more law firms see that these ads work, as more law firms compete in the in the auction for these ads, but they do work, so you should be considering it. The other reason why we know that they get a lot of action is we ran a click study, and in this study, which involved over 1,000 participants, we wanted to find out where people were clicking on when they were conducting specific searches. So the local services ads at the top we see in our study got 28% of all first clicks. So that is a large amount. And clearly, as we can see at the heat map, the heat spots kind of show where people were clicking on most often in the page. We can see that there's a lot of heat spots here on these top three LSA ads. And then in addition to that, we also see a lot of heat generated here on the more results here. So that's where somebody clicked on more personal injury lawyers in this example search. And we see there's a lot of law firms here listed. You see the Google screen check mark. That's part of the process is you have to get Google screen. Google does a background check on you. And once you pass that, and there's some other items as well that you have to qualify for, but it's not hard. But you need to go through that background check process, and then you can get eligible to be part of these Google screened listings. Now we also see, I'm going to show you another search. This time I search Seattle car accident attorney instead of lawyer, and we also see text ads. So we're seeing a bit of ads appear for certain searches where it's just the LSAs, and then we also will see sometimes where you see LSAs and the regular text ads. So here we have 5 different paid ads that show up. So naturally, paid is getting a lot of clicks, they're getting a lot of action, and it's something that you need to consider because as Google continues to make this a priority, the paid search, then the organics get pushed down farther down the page. So that doesn't mean that these work. Let me go back to the heat map study that we did, and we'll see that text ads got 17% of the action here, and the organic results got 37% in total. A lot of that was these first 2 listings, and this is our client here in the number 1 result, so we knew that wasn't that surprising, but it was still kind of encouraging to see that the organic results in our study were the number one organic result got the highest concentration of clicks in the study, with nearly 17% of the first clicks going to that number 1 organic result, which was the highest of anything on the page. But that being said, clearly the local services ads and the text ads were getting a lot of action. And here's a perfect example of, for a lot of you that have tried paid ads and it didn't work before, you have one ad here that got a lot of clicks and you have another ad that got very little clicks at all. So that's simply bad campaign management because the way that the words that you use in your ad, the landing page, all that kind of stuff is a big part of success when it comes to paid search. And so I'm going to give you an example. As we see one of the pages that we see in this search, Boothhoff Law, it goes to their car accident page. And let's look at the car accident page for that. That's here. And so here's the landing page experience. There's a lot going on here. This is, it's a little bit overwhelming to a consumer. And we know that, again, because we do a lot of studies and we get this kind of feedback. So this kind of thing where you have just a lot going on, there's a lot of information. Um, it's good for SEO, to have a lot of information on your page, usually, not always, but usually. But it's also confusing for a visitor. It's not as clear cut, and again, it's a bit overwhelming. So, I'll give you an example. Here's a different one we have for a client that works very well. It's much more simple than what we see down there. We have selling points above the fold, easily seen by anybody who visits. They're certainly not going to miss these selling points. And here's a form where they can easily fill out. We've got a couple client testimonials. And then we have information on the left and this form that is static and sticky no matter where they scroll on the page. So there's always a form visible to them. Then we see some case results. So it's not something where we have a ton of information. It's just laid out much cleaner and easier. And then we're even doing some more advanced forms. So here's one that's in development for us right now. But these kind of forms, and we know this from testing, we do have clients that are using these, but these are ones that, again, are much simpler for a consumer to experience. And if we come here, for example, then, do you have a case? Well, let's answer these questions. Step one, were your family member injured? Yes. Was the injury caused by someone else? Yes. How long ago did the injury occur? Within the last year? Sure. Next, did you receive medical attention? If I were to click no, then when they hit next, they'd say, you don't have a case or not one that we would accept. But in this case, we can say yes, receive medical attention. We have an option for different injuries or whatnot. Let's say serious injuries and then different totals on medical bills. I hit next. And yes, you have a case. So these are the kind of things where the landing page experience is a huge part in having success when it comes to your paid search. So again, if you've tried paid search in the past and it didn't work, it's probably because of poor campaign management, because that absolutely works. And it's something that, again, you need to be considering as we go here into 2021. All right, let's talk about something that I think is missed by so many law firms who are marketing their practice online, and that is Facebook. And I'm not talking about Facebook posts, normal social media posts. The reality is most consumers do not care about what a law firm posts on their social media. We've done years of testing on this, and the great majority, I think 90-some% of people say that they don't care about what a law firm posts on their social media. They're not looking at your social media account as a way to determine if they're going to hire you. And it's certainly not a way that I've ever seen in the 15 plus years that I've been doing law firm marketing. It's not a way that I've seen any law firm ever consistently be able to generate leads through organic posts. Now, paid Facebook ads, that is a whole different story, and certainly something that you should be considering. One of the amazing things about Facebook is the ability that it gives us to laser target who we're trying to advertise to, who is seeing our ads, and that is incredibly important. Facebook has, I think, 2.6 billion people around the world, and in the US, it is 70%, close to 70% of adults are using Facebook, and they're using it almost an hour a day, right? So you have here an app that people are highly engaged with. Almost everybody is using it, and they're using it quite often. So the ability for people to see your ads, the ability to create awareness for your firm is definitely one way that you can be trying to create awareness again for your firm through social ads. So, over here on the right, we see sponsored ads. So this is one type of ad, but these aren't the ads that I think are the best ones to use. And I think the ones that, from experience, the ones that work the best are in-stream ads right here. So as somebody is scrolling, people are seeing what is on their, what are the ads or posts appearing inside their stream. I think a lot of people automatically tune out stuff over on the right-hand side in these ads, but they do look at the ads that appear in their stream because that's just where the eyes are going, right? They're looking and trying to see what's capturing their attention. So when it comes to these ads, now here we're seeing an example of somebody that's using a video ad. You can do static images, you can do slideshows, you can do video, all different types of ads. And the truth is, video probably works best when it comes to these types of ads, but that's not always the case. As with any kind of advertising, you should always be testing. So this is not something where you create an ad, you put it up, and then you're done. No, I mean, when we create an ad campaign for somebody in Facebook, we're creating a ton of different types of ads. We're doing a bunch of different types of targeting. We're doing different media in terms of the ads itself, whether it's static or video. We want to see what converts best. Then we're also testing the landing pages, where we're sending people when they click on these ads, where we're sending the visitors to try to see what converts the best. But I'll just go in here real quick just to kind of show you the kind of laser targeting when it comes to targeting your audience that you can do inside of Facebook. So first, we can do we can target by a country, or we can target by a state or a city. But we can actually even go down to addresses, and we can then target. So if let's put in my office here. So we see here, I can put in my office address, and I can then target within a 1 mile radius. So anybody who goes into this radius will potentially be someone that sees my ads when they go on Facebook. So that's something that's very powerful. So if you are an employment lawyer, you may be wanting to target a bunch of different businesses. You can do that with Facebook. You can target at the geographic level. If you're a personal injury lawyer and there's been a big, say there's an explosion, at a power plant or something like that, a bunch of people are injured. Well, you can target that address, that location, and again, anybody that walks in within that 1 mile radius will be eligible to see your ads. You may be maybe you don't want to target down at this level. You don't always need to. And again, I said you can go down to 1 mile radius if we want to, but maybe we want to target men. Maybe we're a law firm who is doing, dad's divorce, and we're targeting men between the ages of 30 to 65, who have a relationship status of married. Of course, we don't want to be serving our ads to single people. That's a waste of money. But maybe we also want to target people with a high income level. So you could look at household income. And let's say we want to target the top 10% of household incomes in a certain zip code. So here we're now targeting people that have more income. Those are people that you probably want if you're a divorce attorney, because clearly these are ones that have higher value cases and can afford to hire you. So Facebook in general is very powerful, and it's something that you don't want to miss out on when it comes to advertising your law firm, on the internet. That's all I have in this video. I hope this was helpful. Hopefully this gave you some tips so that you can start improving the number of leads and cases that you generate. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to answer any questions that we can. If you're looking for a change in your marketing company, then you know where to reach us. Take care.